A trio of people from the Fort St. John Palliative Care Society. Good morning to you, Michelle and Michelle.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for being here. And Norbert also joins us. Good morning, Norbert.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you all for coming this morning. You guys have been here a lot in the last year talking about the Palliative Care Society. Michelle, if you want to start, if somebody's hearing this term for the first time, this society for the first time, tell us a bit about what you guys do.
All right, thanks, Dub. Yeah, we are actually a nonprofit society, which is really how we host a lot of volunteer services. The main service being our visiting volunteers, and we do train our visiting volunteers to go out and be with people who are at the end of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have a bed program component to our society, and we have 24 beds that we actually loan out to the community, to families who are in need and want their loved ones to die at home.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have another component, which is our grief and bereavement, and that's really something that's really expanding at this point. And we have Norbert here, who is our committee head for that component, and he is more than welcome to explain what it is that we do in that.
Absolutely. I mean, I know, Norbert, you came on Moose Talks some time ago, and we talked a bit about what Death Cafes and really what you guys are about. Because this is something that makes people uncomfortable to sort of speak about, is end-of-life care, and what do we do when us, our siblings, our parents, our relatives are at the end of their lives and we want to keep them comfortable. So tell us a bit about, first of all, the Death Cafe. You've got another one coming up, don't you?
That's right. We actually are planning a next Death Cafe for the 17th of November. It's going to be from about 6:30 to 8:30-ish. And we're going to host it at the Cultural Center this time. So one of the meeting rooms in the Cultural Center.
Okay, wonderful. And if people have never been to one, tell us again quickly kind of what a Death Cafe is and what kind of happens.
A Death Cafe is meant to be a discussion. And so we talk about, as you pointed out, a topic that's not comfortable for many, many people in our world, right? And so it's not meant as a therapy kind of a thing. We have other approaches for that, but it's more just to actually get out there and say, hey, this is what death is. It's part of life. You know, how do we think about it? How do we talk about it? How do we accommodate it, right? You know, we're all different cultures, different people, different points of view.
Absolutely. Now, part of that, as you say, I mean, it's a part of life, and dealing with grief is a big part of life too.
That's right.
When your family members, your friends, your pets pass away, whatever it happens to be.
That's right, yep.
You guys also have some services that you can offer kind of in sort of helping in grief, I suppose, support groups, eh?
That's right. Although this is still in the fairly early planning stages, we're looking to hold a peer-supported grief group starting in January and spilling into February for 6 weeks on a Thursday, running for the last 2 weeks of January and into February. The idea behind this is more of a support as opposed to a discussion. So, you know, it would be a thing where we get together, have a little bit of food, we sit around, and in a very open, non-judgmental, non-agenda kind of way, just talk about what are we experiencing, how does this impact our lives, how do we address the stages of grief, how do we look at, you know, now that this thing has happened and it's changed our lives irrevocably, a big word, and then how do we move on from that? How do we incorporate it in our lives? Because it's part of life.
I'll kind of tie this all back together with kind of the society's name even, and I apologize if this is sort of a silly question, but is this support kind of group for people who are grieving because someone has passed on only, or is it even you're grieving because you are supporting someone at the end of their life and you're sort of preparing for what's their death essentially, or even your own death in a way?
That's right. And so you actually raise a very, very complex question there. Our initial sort of effort is definitely targeted at people who have or are losing a loved one and how they deal with that. But grief encompasses all sorts of people and all sorts of age groups and age ranges, right? And so, people who are looking at that at the idea of, generally it's surviving a death in some way, shape, or form, although there are many other instances that, define grief or create grief as well. But that's where we're looking to start. We're looking to start with a small group, about 15 people, sit together once a week and just talk about the loss or the upcoming loss of a loved one, and how that affects us, and how do we understand that and move on, so that life continues, so to speak.
Absolutely. All right, I do want to make sure we quickly get to this advanced care planning sort of fair and expo. You're also looking at planning.
That's right.
Future.
Yeah, one of the things that is relatively new in this whole idea of palliative care and end of life planning is a concept called advanced care planning. Some people might know it as a green sleeve kind of a thing. And really what it boils down to is a document that we put together at a time in our lives when we understand what it is that we would like to have, and then give direction to the way we want to see our lives end. That sounds very, very morbid, but really it comes down to that. The most common place people go to is a DNR, a do not resuscitate kind of order, but it's much more involved than that. What level of care, what does happen if you can't talk for yourself, or you're in a place where you can't no longer function properly. A rough way to say that, but you know what I mean, right? And so on the 7th of January, we're looking to put together, call it an expo, call it a fair. The idea is just to get a bunch of people together who sit in a room and then just answer questions, right? Like, if you've gone to a job fair, that, different companies are there. This is the same idea, so how do we look at that? Who can answer my questions about, what does it mean to, I want to be resuscitated, or I don't, or what level of care do I want to receive, or what time do I want the medical system to give up or not give up, whatever the choice may be. It's a way of talking for yourself when potentially you're not able to talk for yourself anymore.
Gotcha. All right. I want to make sure we also get to, if people have questions about all this, they want to make sure they got the dates. They want to find out about the bed program, or just more about the society in general. Michelle, what's the best way people can sort of engage with the society and get a hold of you?
So we actually have 3 ways that you can contact us. First being by phone, 250-787-2814. We're also on Facebook at Fort St. John Palliative Care Society, as well as we have a website at fsjcares.com.
Excellent. All right. Well, I always appreciate everyone coming down and talking to us about this. Michelle, always nice to see you.
Thank you.
Norbert, also very nice to see you as well. Anything else you want to say before we wrap things up, by the way?
No, I think that's it. I think Norbert covered it all. He did a really good job.
The only thing I'd like to add is I really encourage people to take a chance, come out and have a shot at a desk cafe and see what it's like. In the end, I think it's a very worthwhile effort.
Okay, and you said that's the 17th at the Cultural Center.
Of November at the Cultural Center, yeah.
Excellent. All right. Again, fsjcares.com for more information. Thank you all for being here. I always appreciate your time.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you very much.
This community interview is supported by your Member of Parliament, Bob Zimmer. Stop by his office in Fort St. John at 9916 100th Avenue and in Dawson Creek at 10421